that out in a moment or two. We are into picks and bans. Something that Dentist was saying is particularly important for both of these squads. We'll see Lissandra taken off the table. Just a reminder, we're on patch 5.4. And I do want to highlight some of the stats that we have that shows the difference in these teams' playstyles once we get to game. Maokai taken away. So, top laners, the focus, albeit Lissandra is a flex pick.
Fun little ban against Freddy. He's, I mean, he used to be a great tank player. He can play nearly every style in the top lane. But it's not exactly Maokai we've been seeing Freddy play the most. He's always focused on these ranged top laners like Kennen, Lissandra, Morgana even pulled out against LMS. Things that can do really well in a 1 versus 2 situation. A lot of focus on the top lane though.
Well, let's see what else gets taken away. Morgana, Rek'Sai taken off the table. Considering the state of the jungle and knowing the impact that Reignover has on Rengar, let's see if SK are considering it as a first pick. Nidalee's still up, Rengar's still up, Jarvan's still up. However, Reignover's never played Jarvan, and we need to see if these teams feel a priority because it's worked for the other LCS squads today already.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say, as you mentioned with that Rengar, if SK does not pick it up, it will go over to Reignover. Normally, it's all about Rengar for him, the best player here in Europe on that champion. Zed being banned away, not going to see that one. Fnatic first picked it in the last game. I thought it was brilliant. That does mean, however, as soon as you ban Zed, LeBlanc doesn't really have any bad matchups left in the mid lane that we see of current meta champions because Kassadin is out. He was normally a good matchup against LeBlanc, so safe choice. And a thing we've seen SK do before, get that assassin in the mid lane. If she gets a somewhat free lane, that's a win for SK.
Yeah, and if you look back to the last time Fox played LeBlanc, it was a fantastic performance. He was picking up solo kills all around the map, absolutely assassinating people, but priority picks are still there. Rengar is available, Rumble is available. All of the AD carries are still up, even if Yellowstone wants to go Annie or an engage support.
Here's the thing, Fnatic doesn't really have to worry too much about a Rumble. It's not a champion we see Freddy play. Yes, okay, Rengar could be a pick for him now because we know Svensson plays it, but you can also just focus on your bottom lane. We know Corki is a great pickup for Steelback. He plays it nearly every time he has the chance, and Annie often comes in as the support for Yellowstar whenever it is open as well.
Well, Deficio, Fnatic, and SK are nothing if not something predictable. Leviathan mentioned in the beginning of the day that he felt both teams were somewhat one-dimensional. We've seen the assassin picks here for SK. We've seen the Rengar. We've seen the Corki.
Yeah.
The question is, do they keep marching to the same beat? With Rek'Sai banned, Svenskeren has the option to go Jarvan, Lee Sin, Nidalee, all picks that he has run in the past and he has had success with.
It's funny because he played Nidalee as one of the first guys in Europe, and he really showed how to play her early game. And then he completely stopped playing her for like 3 weeks. Now it seems like he has to bring her back up because she's still such a good jungler with the nerfs to other junglers as well. With the Rengar gone, with Rek'Sai banned, I feel like Nidalee is going to be the best pick for him because it's a pick that allows you as well to really punish that Rengar for his weak early game. And if you manage to push the mid and top lane at once, or the mid and bottom lane, then you have a clear opening for Nidalee to invade into the enemy jungle and find that Rengar and kill him. He has nothing he can do against Nidalee in a one-on-one.
Well, Deficio, I was paying attention to your segment on the Big Weatherman screen, and it was Reignover's Rek'Sai that allowed Fnatic to beat SK last time. It was the impact he had in the lanes. We have seen Reignover had pre-6 ganks before, but there's a lot of pressure on him to do it again.
So I'm just going to say right now, we're going to see Hecarim top lane from Huni, because he's just changed his summoners. And for the quick viewer, you don't run Flash on Hecarim. That's probably the only champion, or one of the only champions in the game. So that's going to come in as the last pick. Sorry for spoiler. Oh, maybe not. Now he changed the summoners again. Okay. He's trolling. It's fine. It's fine. He changed the summoners back.
So let's ignore the summoners and see Hecarim top. We saw a hover of Lulu. There's the option of double AD if Fnatic want to go that route. Ezreal mid, something that
that makes sense. Okay.
Jat actually broke down on PTL on Wednesday night discussing the different options. With Rumble, with Rengar, with Ezreal, Fnatic have got the makings of a pick comp all together. Get the damage, get the snipe, and then push for a fight.
Yeah, they do have a comp that can really blow up a backline with Rumble ulti and True Shot. True Shot from the Ezreal here, but it's a comp that really spikes so heavily in terms of the mid game, and that's where you gotta get your lead. And I understand because they wanted Ezreal mid lane as a safe laner, then they had to go for Rumble, not the Hecarim top. It would have been too much AD damage from them. Sadly, I was getting hyped for a moment for Huni and Fnatic. But yeah, still, this comp here. Fnatic is the only team we've seen really pull off Ezreal mid lane, where they know they have to play somewhat safe in the early game, and once you hit 20 minutes, Trinity Force man immune on your Ezreal, that's where you turn on the power, because that's where you spike so hard. And when you have, of course, a Corki, when you have a Rumble, that's an absolutely mental mid-game setup for Fnatic in terms of picking and team fighting.
Well, let's bring our attention back to SK Gaming, the team that held onto the lead for the longest time here in Europe, now looking to claim it back. Remember, they are the ones that lost to Fnatic. They've rounded out their team comp. Forgiven on Graves, Enrated on Lulu. They're statistical best champions. They have poke, they have a front line. SK's comp feels very, very well-rounded to me.
Oh, it's a perfect comp for them to play. You have strong laners. Your dual lane, especially Lulu Graves, is one of the best in terms of the early game trading you can do. Lulu has a lot of damage in terms of supports at level like 1 to 3. So if you do get your standard lanes here for SK Gaming, well, they will dominate that laning phase. We know Fnatic prefers to lane swap anyway. The last time we saw Fnatic against SK, they got in standard lanes, and Steelback, he got crushed. He was like 30 or 40 CS behind Forgiven. So Fnatic, of course, gonna look for that standard lane swap. You have now the Alistar for roaming. Enrated is support who sits back and stays with his AD carry. Yellowstar is a guy who roams. That's why they like Corki so much, because in that 1v2 he can always farm. So we're gonna see Fnatic aim for that lane swap. Rumble also is a champion who requires a lot less gold than a Gnar to be effective. So everything is in the cards for that. I want to see SK try and mirror it and counter it. If they get standard lanes, they can pull off the SK Gaming style, because there's a Rengar this time, not a Rek'Sai, for these early pre-level 6 ganks, which means you can get your standard lanes and you can play aggressive in them. And that's what SK Gaming should be aiming for. They have to try and mirror that lane swap from Fnatic.
Well, we'll see whether or not SK Gaming can find the early map vision, or if they can psych out their opponents and match those lanes up. You have to feel SK's team composition is more standard. It has elements of everything. There is engage, there is disengage. They have tools to play with if they do not fall behind in the laning phase, because falling behind a Ezreal, Rengar, Rumble has the recipe for failure.
Yeah, going into late game and like 5-on-5 team fights, it's going to be heavily in favor of Fnatic with their comp, especially the Ezreal mid lane. I like quite a lot. And if you can set up these mid-game 25 minutes fights, that's where Fnatic can really pull it. So yes, it's all about the early game. Once again for SK, all the champions do well early and mid. Let's see if they can use it and which lanes they're going for.
So, SK Gaming or Fnatic, hit us up on Twitter. You know the hashtags, @LOL Esports. The banners are lit, the flags are flying. This is for first place in the European LCS. 9-3 each for these teams. And something that you were touching on, Deficio, on that little professor segment of yours, was the fact that SK have got the fastest tower average in the game. Fnatic's the second slowest. The other thing that we have to highlight is just how much of a difference these AD carries have during the laning phase. We measure the amount of CS difference somebody has against their opponents, and Forgiven averages 12 CS more than his opponents at 10 minutes. Steelback averages 9 CS less. So just on averages alone, Steelback should, in theory, be falling 20 CS behind his opponents.
And he did last time, where we had the Graves into Corki from Fnatic and SK, and it was not pretty in terms of the 2-on-2 laning. But also know that SK as a team very often is happy enough if people want to lane swap against them, because they have this, or their own style of lane swap, where they fast push the lane with Forgiven and Enrated. They get a very early tower and then they swap around. And by that time, they should be able to defend whatever tower Steelbike should be pushing down. And that's what they like to do to create an early advantage. I just think their standard lanes for them would be so much more impactful in terms of the early game.
A lot of pressure on their shoulders in the early game, Deficio. 1 minute 50. Fnatic have started the lane swap. SK have made no indication.
No. So this is the thing again for SK. Very sorry to interrupt you there, Trev.
No, not at all.
They are, as I said before, they're happy enough playing lane swap because they feel like they can outplay the other team. What's going to happen, though, is Yellowstar can have a lot more impact on the early game in terms of roaming compared to a Lulu, especially also because Enrated is not a support who likes to roam. He likes to sit and fast push the wave. That's one of the reasons they love Lulu so much from SK, to always push it. So see, they're doing crooks, okay. They're going back down to the lane. They're going to push it in. They don't care about Hootie. Let him go down, let him get farm. It doesn't matter. It's all about hitting that tower. And meanwhile, Freddy's going to play so aggressive in the top lane that hopefully for SK, he can force Fnatic to play a bit more passive in that lane and not push the tower. And then suddenly Forgiven can swap around once he gets a BF sword and a tower for himself and SK and defend the top lane as well.
Well, let's see if that lane plays out as you predict, Officio. We did catch a glimpse of Svenskeren at level 2 moving in. He's not touched his own buffs yet, but he is at risk of being caught. Take a look at the positioning from Reignover and Huni. They're actually invading in SK's jungle.
So the correct play against SK Gaming's lane swap, because you know Reddit doesn't leave his AD carry side, and you know Svenskeren doesn't try and help Freddy, is you very early go into the lane where Freddy's sitting and you just force him away. That's it. This game right here, he's gonna TP back now. He's level 1. You go with these 3 guys, you push in that wave and you kill him. You have an Alistar. That means there's no TP now. There's an extremely greedy play by Freddy, and he will get denied all the farm. He won't get that CS lead we always see.
Officio, the first time these two teams met, Freddy was greedy in lane and got punished by a gank from Reignover. May be happening again.
SK is adapting.
The spear did hit, but they're too late to the party. Freddy's been caught. He's been knocked in the air. Fnatic are trying to catch him down. Flashes to chase. The Flames picks up first blood, but he isn't rated. Fnatic are on the board. It's not over yet. Fox is trying to move up. There's a lot of members involved in this top lane. I think they're going to fight. Here's Fox coming from the side lane. Fnatic are caught out. There's 4 of them in the bush. The Javelin does hit. Fox dashes in. He's forced away. Svenskeren is looking for a kill in the backline, but it's Fox's Ignite that does the damage. Svenskeren is going to look at everyone in the air. Fnatic got the knockup. Enraged and Fox continue the chase, but Fox down on HP, low on mana. Fnatic trade 1 for 1 in the extended fight, and they're in full retreat. SK read it, but they responded too late.
Yes. So, SK Gaming and Davis.
Oh, it's not over! Fox is knocked in the air! Huni's trying to hunt him down, but Enrated is throwing out the auto attacks. He flashes forward and doesn't get the kill! Enrated is down! Enrated is down, and Fnatic come away. 3 kills for 1.
Alright. So, let's just see this one again. Fnatic is making the right play. Freddy is a greedy top laner in a lane swap. He will TP back to a lane and risk getting killed like this. He's gonna lose 3 or 4 waves of farm now. SK Gaming, however, as a team has adapted. They predicted, okay, our top laner might die, so we're gonna send our support and jungler to help him. But yes, they joined in too late, so they didn't manage to prevent Freddy from dying. Look at all this juicy farm here. That's gone for him. Braum coming from the mid lane at level 3. It's like you're giving up a lot of farm and XP in the mid lane by roaming up here, and you end up dying for it as well. Fnatic wins the trade. This early game couldn't have gone better for them. Mid lane now has a massive advantage because we saw the roam. Okay, that's in favor of in favor of Fnatic. Freddy got denied all the farm. That's also in favor of Fnatic now. And 3 kills. And Rated flashed in the end for an auto attack. You should never do that. It's never worth it. Your support. Don't risk giving that kill over to carries from Fnatic's side.
Well, he did, and it's not going to work out. Huni, look at the HP. Not going to be enough. The potion keeping Huni alive for the Electro Harpoon.
Even if you get the kill, it's not worth it.
So, we are back. All right, let's take stock. 5 minutes 45 on the clock. Gold is even. And Rated and Forgiven got their tower. And look at the Sorcerer's Shoes at 5 minutes for Huni. That is terrifying.
Yeah. Bottom lane, as we said beforehand, SK will always push the bottom lane in a lane swap. They will never try and freeze it. That's why Forgiven could secure a tower. Top lane is still alive, so that is in favor of SK. What they can do now, once Forgiven has enough gold, which he will have more than enough, 55 gold is BF sword on its own, if you don't miss a single CS. And now he also has a tower, so he's going to be able to recall, get a BF sword, and then decide, do I want to contest the dragon, or do I want to go top lane, hold this tower here and push in the next one, the next outer turret, because the Corki is going to be too weak to defend against the Graves. So Fnatic adapted, did the right thing against the SK swap early on, got a few more kills for it. Yes, you lost the bot lane tower. Normally what would happen is you kill Freddy, deny him all the farm, and then you take the top lane tower as well, and you trade tower for tower. But that got stopped because SK roamed up and then died.
Wow, very, very exciting start to a matchup that was once famed El Clasico. However, the 2 Spanish mid laners obviously no longer in the squads. You could argue whether or not the title still holds. What I like to see is both of the teams have adapted, have adjusted their playstyles. We touch on how fairly predictable these 2 teams are, but that was a real evolution of decision-making. vision control in favor of SK Gaming, plus the numbers means they're going to get an uncontested dragon.
That's the thing, two new things here. We've never seen a team against SK dare to dive Freddy, despite him always teleporting back to the lane. And obviously, as soon as that teleport is blown, you are so far behind. That's the first time we see that one. Second, SK Gaming for the first time helped Freddy in the swap. And because we had that long fight and the tower didn't die, Freddy managed to come back in the lane. And when everyone else was recalling, he still managed to pick up so much farm for himself. Forgiven is going to go to the top lane now. Going to stand one-on-one against that Corki. Win that lane for himself. Push it into the tier 2 turret, or tier 1 turret in the top lane. And that simply means it's honestly could end up being a win for SK if they can now push this top lane.
Well, we'll find out if SK can push the lane out. With the dragon they secured just shy of 7.5 minutes. That's actually much faster than their average. SK Gaming traditionally pick up their first dragon at 11.5 minutes. We love looking at the numbers and the stats, and that was much earlier. So for a team like SK, who have won multiple games by getting to 5 dragons in a match, they've kick-started that ticking time bomb.
Yeah.
They've kick-started their ability to control it. They just need to be careful not to pick a team fight with Huni's Rumble nearby. So, Forgiven is up in the top lane. SK are trying to put some pressure on the blue buff of Fnatic, but there's not a lot of supports.
And what happens now, and I think that SK is so good at using, is they know, okay, who's the strongest player at the moment in this game? At this point, it's going to be the Graves with the BF sword, okay? Where do we put our focus? We put it on the side of the map where he is laning, which means once this mid or bot lane tower went down, that's now basically a free lane from Freddy that SK doesn't care about. Just leave Freddy on his own, he can farm all he wants. That lane is what it's going to be. All the focus now is going to be on the top side of the map, because that's where Forgiven is. That's where he's pushing. And if you make sure he's safe and can always push in the wave, then he will, in time, take down that tower, and Fnatic is not able to respond unless they make a counter play and potentially go down bottom lane and take the tower against Freddy, but he's able to hold it off fairly well, and that's a risky trade to make. So now, SK Gaming can decide where do we want to put all our focus. It should be on the top side with Forgiven.
Well, we'll see what they decide to do. We saw some fancy footwork from Fox, dodging out from Febev's Ezreal. The fact that Fox roamed at, what was it, level 2, level 3, means that he's falling behind in CS. Traditionally, Graves, rather Forgiven is what I wanted to say, is again ahead of Steelback. However, despite all of that action, Steelback's actually doing better this game than he has in the past. Only 10 CS down, which is quite weird to praise him for, but it is also the truth.
Have to remember also, Forgiven was doing Dragon.
Yep.
He was quickly in the mid lane, has recall to get the average play to kind of against snowball his gold income. On this Graves, he can do it because he knows he's going to be stronger than this Corki anyway. Yellowstar is showing himself here, but there's still not a 2-on-2 lane Fnatic is going to win. So the pressure is still for SK to play around. They already got a few D-wards in the jungle. This suddenly now opens up for Svenskern to walk into the red buff of Fnatic, look for this Rengar here, try and duel him one-on-one, and force some 4-on-4 fights, even on the side of the map where you are strongest. Only problem, Mr. Huni has teleport, Freddy does not, so suddenly you have to sit back a little bit and respect that one.
Yeah, teleport advantage in favor of Fnatic if they want to make any plays or respond to an aggressive play. We have seen Huni, I believe he's freezing that lane in the bottom. There was a very large minion wave pushing up. However, it seems to have reset over the last few minutes. We'll see how that plays out. We can see Sven once again investing resources and time in the matchup, in the position where SK has the advantage, which is that Forgiven Graves lane. But it's going to be so hard to gank a Corki and Alistar. We've seen Yellowstar play Alistar in the past when Steelback played Kalista, and the amount of peel and protection of it was massive.
But that's the thing, you're not here to kill them. You're here to push the tower. That's all you care about. Let's see what Reyno can do in the mid lane though. Double jump used. No ulti pop by Reynover. Oh, well, actually there is. You just couldn't see it. The fancy shadow, so. He gets spotted by that pink as well. And they will know, okay, he just showed up out of nowhere. Must have used ulti. But yeah, Svenskern, he's not top lane to try and kill Fnatic. He's there to make sure Forgiven and Riot can push. And if they do get into the tower, he can join in. He's a ranged jungler, he has attack speed buffs. And that just basically accelerates how fast you can take down these outer turrets, which is so important for that 1-3-1.
So SK Gaming still trying to shove it down. They find themselves 500 gold behind, mostly due to those CS differences and kills. However, they do have the Soul Tower secured. The one thing we do have to give praise to SK for, the amount of wards on the map at this stage is significantly higher than what we used to see. Despite the fact SK are pushing waves and trying to keep the waves pushed up, XK have actually warded the river and warded their flanks. We'll see if they can keep it up the entirety of the game.
We have really seen them change this style, except for Freddy with his fairly greedy TPs for farm. But the rest of the team has changed it around him and said, we know he might get killed, we should be there. And we know we need to buy wards, otherwise we will get punished, especially by a Rengar. This pink ward in the river, we saw just around the Baron, is so important to try and spot if Reynova is running from his own jungle down towards the mid lane. He's basically forced just to gank from his lanes, which is not a bad thing as a Rengar. Freddy though, he's trading.
This is 2v2.
Fantasy is going to 2v2, yeah. Where's the Mega Gnar?
Huni's going to be in trouble in a second. The equalizer comes out. Huni's got one more on the board. Now Freddy is about to transform. He gnaws Huni but doesn't get the stun. And forced to flash away. While all that was going on, Febiven died to Fox in the middle lane. That first pick LeBlanc definitely working out. But 1-for-1.
Almost like Fnatic read Svensson like a book there. They were sitting ready in the bottom lane. You saw Huni save his equalizer, wait for the Nidalee to show. Let's see the mid lane fight. Ezreal, remember, he's not a strong laner in terms of killing people. He's just farming. He needs to get to 20 minutes, 2 item spike, then he will do stuff. Beforehand, he has no pressure and I still kill.
So easy pickup for Fox. That's going to at least keep him relevant. 2-0. Got the makings of a death cap. Got that Fiendish Codex as well. Reynova is on the hunt, looking for a target. Freddy, 50% to Mega Gnar. He's going to hop over the minions. That's a flash from Reynova. Boomerang Blade doesn't connect. Reynova continues chasing. He's going to be in a little bit of trouble. Leaps out of the bushes. Yellow Star gets in range. Not for the assist. And a fairly easy kill on a half-health top laner.
So we did just praise SK for their ward control. But we also talked about how the strong side for SK at the moment is on the top side, not the bottom side. So they had been invested 0 wards. Well, I guess 1 pink ward has been invested a bit far up here around the dragon. That's it. So there was no way for Freddy to spot Reignover. And classic Freddy style, he only cares about farm, so he's just going to push that lane. Gives up a kill to Fnatic. Now they might swap around. So this top lane tower...
Still been untouched, really.
Steelback managed to defend it with the early kill he got for himself. Then he's been able to hold off against Forgiven, slightly slowing down the SK push. Dragon might still be the thing, though.
While Fnatic do not seem to be too bothered. Teleport available for Huni, as is the equalizer. Fnatic will have full vision thanks to that Scuttle Crab, but look at Reignover's positioning. Absolutely no indication they want to contest. Can they get the top tower? We'll take a look at Freddy's defense of that in a moment. But keep in mind, Manamune picked up. Ooh. Trinity Force completed for Steelback.
Yeah.
Huni's actually got himself that needlessly large rod and ability tome. So going for more damage as opposed to including the Seekers first. And obviously working his way towards that Hourglass.
Well, that basically just depends on how much gold you have when you go back. If you're going for Hourglass anyway, if you have 1600, you will obviously get the large rod here. It's a lot bigger spike for you in this case. And also Freddy is going full tank, so there's not really a threat from him. Against Huni, it's going to be a bit of a farm lane that they both can try and push down, not really kill each other. And then it's going to be more about the team fights, where a very early Hourglass, hopefully he's going to get a Hornet guys as well for Huni, is going to do a lot more. We mentioned how Fnatic, it's all about this 20-25 minute point, where Corki has Trinity Force and Boots upgraded for magic penetration, where Ezreal hopefully has a Manamune and Trinity Force, and you have magic penetration, potentially even an Hourglass on Rumble. That's where SK Gaming has nothing to do in a fight, and has to respect that and only focus on creating picks, like we have seen, and pushing lanes.
And we have heard, when you get that Ezreal, if you're farming well and doing around that middle lane, you can have your fully stacked Mirror Mana plus Trinity Force around the 20 to 22 minute mark.
Yeah, and that's why people...
with that power spike you're talking about.
And that's why people get this Manamune so early, just to stack it up even faster. We've seen other people do like tier into Trinity Force first for a quicker spike around like 15 minutes. But what you do instead is you just get the Manamune and you delay it, but you get a stronger one once you get it. And obviously, this one makes you a bit better in the laning phase as well for Fibber, getting the early stacks on the tier, so it's ready when needed.
So interesting to see Svenskeren actually took that red buff away. Forgiven arrived a little late to the parties. Got that Infinity Edge completed. Has had for a moment or two. Huni, of course, got the Distortion Boots upgrade, so definitely looking for more teleport-based plays. And a small switcheroo, as you can see Steelback farming up this bottom lane. Huni was pushing top against Freddy a little while ago. Fnatic unable to make any any inroads into tower pressure, but they've got the numbers advantage now.
Yeah, and again, Freddy has nothing to do in that lane. He can't do anything because he's full tank Gnar. There's so many early kills for Huni because of those plays from SK in the top lane. So he has to kind of surrender the lane itself and just try and get whatever Huni is giving him and nothing else. He's not going to apply any pressure to him, so Huni's going to get free farm. Will be able to get a lot of damage on the tower as well in time. And he's still just sitting with that teleport. He's waiting for that big team fight. He's level 11 now, massive spike for him. If Hourglass gets completed, suddenly there's no kill potential from the LeBlanc onto the Rumble, and that's going to be massive because he's going to be the guy in the front line with the Alistar, and then obviously Reignover jumping in once he gets a bit more tanky as well for him. So there's quite a front line being built up through Hourglasses, Alistar ultis, and a Rengar to protect these 2 AD carries sitting in the back.
So we'll see. We'll see if it's enough. I think Huni...
It will be if you start the fight.
Those next couple of minions, Huni's actually got enough gold to finish the Hourglass. Dragon will be up in the not too distant future. And considering the power of Rumble in that scenario, they might want to set it up. But Fnatic, they've sensed the Cougars caught the cat. Svenskjaeren's knocked up. And that was just an easy 1-2 punch that'll lead to a tower if they want it. But doesn't seem to be the case.
And this has really been the problem for SK. When they don't win that early game, when they don't get these early outer turrets down, they seem to run out of ideas of what to do. So it becomes a bit of a somewhat random gank on a lane. You're ganking where the Rumble is a lot stronger than the Gnar at this point. So if you know if there's one other guy showing up, you're going to lose the 2-2 fight. And as soon as, obviously, there was a ward placed by Fnatic and they spotted Fnatic, they moved there, killed him. Now they're going for Freddy as well.
Well, let's see. He flashed away and gets knocked up by the Pulverize. Not very tanky, though. But they did get the flash from Freddy in exchange for the flash from Yellowstar. Just going to reduce the potential impact of a Mega Gnar at the next team fight. 2 minutes before the Dragon spawns. I don't expect Fnatic to give that one up completely uncontested with the current state.
Trinity Force almost completed for February in the mid lane. Forgiven now after failing to take down the top tower. He's going to put his focus on the mid lane instead, but with both... Well, actually, if it's only February, they will be able to push it down. If Steelback joins, once he clears this bottom lane, there is wave clear for him. That can be a problem with Fnatic in terms of their wave clear. Corgi brings a lot, but he needs to be where Forgiven is then to always stop him from pushing it. Ezreal needs more time or an ulti to clear it. So it has basically taken a lot of damage all laning phase 1, and that's an outer turret for SK.
So Fox and Freddy have the support of Enrated moving top, unable to stick Huni and Yellowstar in place. They trade towers. It was the top lane outer turret which Fnatic took down. SK responded by getting the middle outer turret against Febiven. Dragon's up in 50 seconds. All of that heavy warding we've seen from SK earlier has slightly diminished, but they are healthy. They've picked up some items if they want to contest another fight.
And here's the thing about the two comps. On Fnatic's side, in order for them to really use their front line effectively, they need to be the one who can see where SK are coming, have the Rengar jump in with his ulti, and you start the fight where you then basically tell SK, you're going to fight right here, and you're going to have to deal with Alistar, Rumble, and Rengar at once. You're not going to get to our back line. However, if SK walks in first to that Dragon and establishes the vision control, suddenly you can get easy flanks on these 280 carries. The LeBlanc can one-shot both easily if she gets the chance. Now though, both teams have instantly moved in there, realizing we need to have the vision control because 1, we need to start the fight on Fnatic's side, and 2, we need to get the flanks on SK Gaming sides and the picks.
Well, let's see if it works out for them. Forgiven's already upgraded that far side torp. Ooh, Fox smelled blood in the water. He's caught Yellowstar. Let's get a lot of damage down. That may allow SK to start this Dragon off. They have 4 members in place. Meganoff and Freddy's coming in. Dragon secured. Reignover's jumped in, but he's committed more than he should have. Collateral damage is out. Now Svenskjaren gets the wild growth. 2 members of Fnatic forced away. They managed to pick up the kill and get away clean. Fnatic caught a little bit with their pants down, I feel.
Well, that's exactly what we talked about. Whichever team had control of the Dragon will win that fight. Because you see once Rengar goes in, obviously from Reignover, this was trying to steal that Dragon and not really anything else. We saw only Steelback trying to join him. There's now 3 Dragons to 0 for SK. But once he goes in, it's easy for SK to single him out. Use your LeBlanc. She has a Death Cap and a Morello. She's extremely strong. One-shot that target first. No tanky items except for that Hourglass is going to save you. So that was just SK getting the control. We saw both teams try and fight for it, but nobody went in there 30 or 40 seconds before. They all went in there when the Dragon had already spawned, so nobody really put too much focus on it. Instead, though, let's see what happens here. And Rated He's feeling a bit manly on this Lulu. Not a Yulu.
Yulu. He managed to get the Yulu Glitter Lance onto Huni, but nobody else from SK could chase. And let's take a quick look at the situations, Officio. 22 minutes in, 6 kills to 3, 500 gold separates these teams, and SK have 1 additional tower. But thanks to their 7-minute Dragon, SK have got 3 out of the 5 stacks required for Aspect of the Dragon at 22 minutes. And SK is one of, if not the best Dragon team in Europe in terms of how smart they play around the objective. When it's safe to do so, they secure it. When it's risky to do so, well, they don't. I mean, that sounds pretty obvious. But they've set themselves up for a great position.
They have.
To get to that time bomb, to get to that 5th buff.
But the game has still gone slower than they would have wanted it to. They wanted to have all 3 outer turrets down at this point. They want to be already pushing into the tier 2 turrets of Fnatic and using the LeBlanc to create the picks. Yes, they've gotten a few kills from it, but they haven't really been able to take over the map itself. So Fnatic are still more than in this game, because once the next Dragon spawns, that's where Fnatic suddenly with their comp has that massive, massive spike and can contest it. They might even look for more fights now. Yellowstar going in first. You can see how Fnatic, they want to fight. They don't want to just get pushed around anymore. They're strong enough. Featherman, especially in this mid lane, has been farming well.
Well, Yellowstar tried to start that one off, actually went in with the flash. Forgiven, recalled, is trying to set up. Thanks to the distraction Fnatic pulled in the river, it allows Steelback and Featherman to even out the turret score and actually take a small gold lead. But look at the back line. Everybody is peeling away. Huni's recalling. I think they know he's there. The javelin connects and Huni's in trouble. He dodges the gnaw, throws out the hourglass, goes golden before he gets dropped. And SK, that was just a great prediction.
Huni, look at the play cam. He's not happy about that one.
What does it result to? That's the question. SK have got the numbers.
Now to get the last outer.
Gonna push top lane.
Top lane's gonna go down easy.
Maybe
it's already there.
They don't really have the wards, but a risky Baron. They've got a lot of damage.
Reno is in the bottom lane here. Yellowstar's coming from base as well. Fnatic are pinging it, but who can get there in time to stop it?
Absolutely nobody. Where's the true shot barrage? They don't have vision. Farside Orb went the wrong direction. Fnatic, they're gonna throw it out far too late. And a 24 minute Baron is secured by SK Gaming. Every single Dragon and Baron so far gone the way of SK. They can use that to take down any tower they want, Officio.
Great decision making by SK here, noticing how Reno was in the bottom side. They could take it after getting that pick on Huni. But what was Reno doing there? Once Huni dies, you don't show yourself in the bottom lane. You run straight towards the mid lane at least. So SK Gaming won't be able to do what they just did here. Nobody was in a position to stop them. 24 minutes in. Earlier also for SK than they normally get a Baron, because you don't get it offered like this. 2 big mistakes by Fnatic. SK also got the last outer turret. Now they can really split up in the 1-3-1. We see it already. The Bang in one lane, 9 the other one. Graves in the middle lane, and now suddenly we're playing the SK game again.
Well, Fnatic have got no more room for error. Officio, you've praised the potential of their team comp, but they've simply not done anything to really make use of the abilities. Fnatic had a decent start to the game. They slowed down SK's laning phase, but slowing your opponents down doesn't win you the game. SK littering Fnatic's jungle with vision before they set up a siege in this bottom lane. Where is the support? Teleport available for Huni. Going to be relying on Steelback's wave clear to try and hold this in a turret.
And look what Freddy's doing now. Look at the minimap here. He just pushed the top lane. Now he's going to walk mid, push that wave all the way up to the tier 2 turret, forcing someone from Fnatic to move there and defend it now. And then you constantly keep pressure on every single lane through the minions in one lane, you pushing another one, and obviously the 4 guys here in the bottom side trying to get some damage. Corki needs a little bit of time before he clears the wave, so you will always get a few hits. And also look at Freddy getting a few hits on the mid tower. Every single lane now is being pushed in.
And while all of this is going on, SK Gaming are just buying time for the next Dragon. 40 seconds on the clock. If SK pick it up within about a minute to 2 minutes of it spawning, it will be the fastest 4 Dragons they have secured all year long. Look, Freddy, all the work he set up in the middle lane, gonna set them up. That's 2 quick towers, and Fnatic are falling to pieces.
This is what SK Gaming will do every game you give them the chance. They will basically push you into a corner where it's near impossible for you to run between these tier 2 turrets and defend them in time, because SK can just run through the jungle or whatever they want to and push up these waves every single time. And it's so strong and so hard to play against. Raynova popped his ult, he's looking for a pick before this dragon here. Fnatic, they have to try and fight for it.
Middle of the hunt is ticking. Raynova's only found Freddy, but he didn't really connect with that baller strike. Put some damage down, but Freddy's more than happy to return it in kind. SK have got themselves grouped. Freddy's rooted in place. Where is the equalizer? Huni, can you save for Fnatic? We do see Yellowstar goes in, gets 2 on the knockup. Equalizer comes out that says do not pass, but it doesn't stop Freddy. He gnaws Fnatic back into the team. Fox goes way too deep, overcommits, and gets taken down. What does the Fox say?
But SK can still take that dragon here, because look at Fnatic. So many guys are very, very low. They have to go back and heal up 4th dragon, unless Huni and Febiven can stop this one.
I don't think they can. But it's not going to stop them trying. Huni's coming in. Flame Spitzer ticking away. Febiven looking for the chase. Miramana is a light, and he's not going to continue. So 4 dragons, a Baron, 3,000 gold lead, and he has a replay of that fight.
Yeah, so see Fnatic, they're desperate to look for a fight. They know they're very strong in terms of 5 versus 5. Raynova, though, he doesn't get the right target onto Freddy. He ends up taking the bad trade from it, and then we just see how SK chase on this one here. They're waiting for the ulti from Huni to come down and then just back away, except, well, diving a little bit too deep. Ends up dying for it, still get the dragon because everyone is so low.
Yeah, so much damage in the steal back in Febiven, though. If Fox
That's what happens when you get to the back line.
Yeah, there you go. So Fnatic in dire straits, all the way down to their inhibitor turrets in 2 lanes. One inner turret rather remaining in the top lane. But more importantly, 5 minutes until the next dragon spawns. Fnatic have simply not been able to pick a team fight on their terms. Fnatic have not been able to force SK, and all credit to SK, despite that interesting start to the game, which, yes, it put SK behind, but they did get a kill on the board. They did manage to bounce back effectively by taking that early tower. SK have actually held themselves strong. They've played their standard game, and Fnatic have been unable to disrupt SK's rhythm.
And that's the thing, Fnatic was in a perfect situation where SK couldn't really use the 1-3-1 because the lanes were fairly even. They hadn't killed that last outer turret either. So we had a bit of like a dead point where everyone was just sitting and farming, and that was in favor of Fnatic in terms of hitting that Trinity Force, Man Immune, and so on for Febiven. Once they hit it, that's where they started looking for fights, but they didn't manage to get them. SK was smart enough to always avoid them. And then, of course, we saw Huni try and recall in the mid lane. He get killed for it. Reno showed himself bottom lane. A massive mistake. Now they will get some picks.
Oh, the baller strike didn't catch Svenskeren, but Yellowstar did. The headbutt pulverized. Raynova flashes over the wall, but he's now gone too deep. Teleport from Huni lands in place. Equalizer held onto for the time being. Fnatic threw everything in the kitchen sink at Svenskeren, but Enrated's wild growth keeps him alive. One thing to note, yes, 30 minutes on the clock. Yes, 3,000 gold difference. But Fnatic are not out of it yet. They are digging deep, and they are looking for opportunities.
Keep looking for the fights here, but SK Gaming show how good they are at avoiding them. Always manage to disengage, and then once a single member from Fnatic overextends, they blow him up. Manage to win it, but it's going to be all about that dragon. Nothing else. What can happen is if Fnatic goes down to stop the dragon, you can see SK quickly just go Baron instead. And say, okay, if you want to put all your players on denying a dragon, well, we take a Baron for it at least, and then we just get the next dragon after. So that means Fnatic is going to be in a situation where they only put maybe Steel back to take that dragon and keep the other 4 guys in the mid lane. But SK Gaming should never allow that and just go kill him instead.
We'll see if they can. 25 seconds
sitting on Baron as well now.
Before Baron spawns. SK Gaming throwing down their wards. I'm looking forward to seeing the ward stats at the end of the game for SK, because I do feel like they're placing more this game, but we'll need to see if it actually works out that way according to their averages. Fnatic still only 2 towers to their name. Minions were pushing towards that bottom outer tower, but Freddy with teleport is clearing it out. And despite the start that he had, 0-1, you can't deny the fact that Na has become an integral front line for SK as this match has progressed. Fnatic, they may be the ones pulling SK towards them, playing the Baron bait game by denying vision.
And because we know Fnatic needs to be the team starting the fight. If they can fight on their terms, they can use this big front line to their advantage and make it impossible for Forgiven or for basically any damage deal of SK to really find that pick, because you can now see where they're moving around. But keep going for Yellow Star as well. Just poke him down there. Alistar forces ulti.
Well, Yellow Star's in trouble. Unbreakable Will comes out. SK may have broken Yellow Stars. Huni still yet to fire the equalizer. Thrill of the Hunt fizzles as well. One thing you have to highlight, Forgiven's Farsight Orb, that little vision revealed Baron was not being taken. That allowed SK to make the right decision. Fnatic have peeled away, have backed away. Still got some important ultimates to play with, but without the front line of Yellow Star, or the engage of Rengar, unable to continue the fight, Fnatic are forced away.
Every single time Yellow Star gets caught, Fnatic is basically out of the fight itself. They're going for Huni though, let's see.
Let's see if this bait is enough. Rainova does manage to save Huni, but that was Equalizer, Flash, Hourglass, everything thrown down just to save his life.
And the way SK keep playing around these fights is so smart, because if Yellow Star moves in and he gets close enough to potentially engage, they just poke him down, force him to use his ulti, and then suddenly he's not there in the front line anymore. Now it's only the Rengar jumping in and the Hourglass Rumble. That's a lot easier to deal with for SK to blow up these targets. They're still fairly squishy this early on. And now Dragon coming, 40 seconds, no flash Huni, no flash Rainover.
Tofficio, that gold graph, was that still Tour de France? Or was that a different track this time
Pretty boring stage in Tour de France.
Okay.
The other one, I like the other ones with LWS and everything, you know? Gotta get in the mountains.
Got to get in those mountains. SK climbing a mountain of gold as they get themselves into a great position. Farsight Orb once again being used from Forgiven and SK to get information. They've set themselves up around Dragon, and SK have got vision control. Sitting in a pink ward bush, got control of the Scuttle Crab. Look at the waves, pushing in SK's favor, and Fnatic do not want to give this up.
And this pink ward right here is just outside the screen. It's in the small bush in the river where SK is running around now. That's going to be so important, because once the engage comes, they just back away, and then this pink ward will show the Rengar, and they know how to act. Let's see, there we go. They can see Rainover.
Well, Rainover's jumped onto Freddy. He's done it a second time. Collateral damage is out. Let's put some damage on as Fox melts Fnatic's HP. Yellow Star's in full retreat. And Face of the Mountain shield plus Unbreakable Will is down. Where is the equalizer, Huni? He finally throws it out, but that's not the strongest. Huni's the first victim of Fnatic as they continue to retreat. Febiven and Steelback forced to flash. There's just one kill on the board, but here comes SK. Fox gets two more. And SK Gaming with a convincing three-man, deciding where they want to go. Dragon's available, Inhib's available, Baron's available. They can take what they want.
That one pink ward in the small bush just outside the Dragon here. We saw SK play around it. They saw Fnatic move forward. They backed away, spotted Rainova, and suddenly Fnatic didn't manage to get the engage. They didn't manage to build up a front line. The fight has already started. And we can just see how they start blowing off targets. These 280 carries are not protected anymore. That is so much damage coming in onto both of them, and they're forced to run away. Fnatic has already lost that fight. As soon as that engage fails around the pink ward, SK Gaming will win it. Fifth Dragon, Baron, I guess first, then, oh, they got the Dragon already as well. They're getting everything.
So Fnatic still in place. Flash available for Reino, but this is still a tiny, tiny chance of a steal. Tofficio, this is getting quite dramatic. SK tanking this one up. They've not engaged. Huni's out. True Shot Barrage comes down, but it's Forgiven that secures the Baron kill before SK put two more on the board. And they're going to back themselves away. 2 Barons, 5 Dragons, 10 kills, 8,000 gold. SK Gaming are poised to get revenge on Fnatic for their defeat earlier in the split.
And really showing what happens when you don't completely shut them down in the early game and then you make one big mistake in the mid game. SK Gaming, they kill you, they take everything. And once they have that lead and they can play their style, well, it's so hard for you to do anything. They've been smart in this game in terms of team fighting, how they build around them. They only had one massive misplay, and that was in the early game at level 1. The rest, the way they poke, the way they use the LeBlanc, who's so fed, really well played by SK as a team, and they're looking to push that lead even further. You can't have much more than 5 Dragons and a Baron. That's about as strong as you get.
Yeah, SK Gaming playing so well today. You know, Fox on LeBlanc. I think LeBlanc is his best champion.
Oh yeah, agreed.
In that, Fox is able to find opportunities where he can single-handedly impact team fights. A lot of the other champions he's played, he needs some setup. But you've seen just how much damage Fox is able to put down once he gets to the squishy double ADs of Fnatic.
And remember, Zed was banned from Fnatic's side, and with Kassadin being out of the picture, LeBlanc has a fairly easy laning phase in pretty much any matchup. I abuse and solo queue as well, and I don't even feel bad about it.
Even easier when you're paired up against Ezreal. Reignover's going to get rooted in place by those ethereal chains as Svenskeren sinks the fangs into the Cougar. A kill, an inhibitor, another tower. SK making use of the Baron, the Dragon. Hell, SK making use of everything they've got. Just going to push this one in for another.
Don't even care about the bottom lane. Just get 2 inhibitors down, then you can deal with the bottom lane later. Let Fnatic get 1 tower at least.
Well, remember, there's no jungling up for Fnatic, and Steelback just gets melted. SK Gaming up to another inhibitor. They may be gutsy enough. They've got Baron buff minions behind them. Only against 4 members. Equalizer used just to delay this push. Freddy and SK still sticking around, and Nexus turret is about to go down. Fox turns his attention to Huni, throws out the Sigil of Malice, and Yellowstar's going to be the next one to fall. It's going to get the face of the mountain shield, survives for long enough, but Huni's down. Fox, 9-1-3. SK Gaming, the undisputed kings of Europe. Broken faces on the side of Fnatic.
SK Gaming looking good for IM Katowice next week. With a win like this.
I think it's great that you say that. SK 10-3. Hold sole possession of the European LCS. Slow clap of Huni from the audience, but Fnatic, they can still hold their head high. Decent start to the game. Just unfortunately were outplayed in the mid game. Unable to make their engages stick.
Yeah. All of Fnatic's comp was about that mid game itself. That was where you were supposed to get that lead. If you were falling behind early on in the laning phase, that's where you would come back. Look at Huni right here. I mean, there's no fun. Because you are the guy recalling in the mid lane. You are the guy getting caught, and suddenly the game just completely snowballs out of control because you were in the game. You were ahead in goal at that time. And then it happens where you were supposed to be the strongest one. That's why SK punished you, and that's why SK can take the game as well.
Unfortunate for Fnatic, but that is how the cookie crumbles. And SK Gaming, 10-3 now. Again, they hold that first position. Fox on LeBlanc, he dealt 32,500 damage. The next closest was Febvin on Ezreal, 17,000 to champions. I mean, that's massive.
He was probably the MVP of this game.
I mean,
it was insane. It was fantastic.
By such a large margin. But more importantly than just Fox's LeBlanc play and finding the targets in those late game team fights, the entire team of SK, I feel like they placed more wards. They didn't get caught out. They didn't get punished. I'm very much looking forward to actually comparing the numbers.
There's the thing. They were so smart in this game in terms of the fights. The reason they could do so much damage to the back line was because they always avoided the main engage. There was no front line in front of them to stop them because they managed to back away first, play around pink wards to spot Reignover. Reignover has had some good ganks early, but in terms of team fights, he never got the right engage. SK would always back away, play around it, and then turn it around every single time. That was just really smart play. And not something we have seen from SK beforehand. It's often been so much about just pushing these lanes, get a massive lead in terms of items, and then you kind of just roll over the enemy team. Now, warding with their great team fighting, smart plays from them, and this is even with them falling behind at level 1, and not getting them these auto turrets like they normally do, they still found openings. And that's the scary thing, when a team like that can do it.
Huni had a 5-minute sorceress use, 201, and was unable to impact on his signature rumble, no less. Anyways, Pyrotechnics is standing by on stage to talk to SK's Freddy122. So let's head up and join the sole leader of the European LCS.
Thank you very much for that one, Quick Shot. As he said, of course, I am standing here with Freddy122, the victorious Freddy. First of all, GG, congrats on your win. You are on first place once again. How does that feel?
Yeah, it feels really good to get back there. We had a mini slump, but we kind of ended it now, so it feels good.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, actually, because it seems like teams have been allowing you to play to the strategy that you guys were so dominant with before. Why do you think that is, that they've given you lanes you've wanted, they've given you picks you've wanted?
I think it's more that we had a lack of practice during the mini slump, and we've practiced more, and oh my god.
It's all right, take the time you need. But you've basically had a lot more time to adjust, to kind of think about your strategy, the holes in the strategies that you guys had before. I actually did a little bit of digging into the stats. Thought you guys have been warding more, starting in the losses. Has that been something that you've identified as like a massive point that you've started to improve on? Because it seems to have helped.
Yeah, that's something we've improved on, the warding, especially the trinket upgrades. We never used to do that, but we've been working on it, and our coach has been helping us, so we've really improved our vision game, I think.
And not a moment too soon, too. You guys are going to be heading to Katowice next week. How do you feel taking on the slew of international competition you're going to be facing there?
Yeah, I'm kind of excited to play international competition again since Worlds, but yeah, I don't know how it's going to go. I think we got a decent first game, but we have a really hard group, so I'm excited for it.
Well, best of luck next week. Now, we are going to go ahead and send it back to the analyst desk, where Shocks and Amazing are standing by.
You gotta love Freddy, man. Thank you very much, Pyra. SK, sole possession of first place here in Europe. Dentist, you had a thing or two to say about the compositions coming into this one, especially Fnatic running that double AD to Ezreal mid, what they succeeded with last week, but on paper, they shouldn't.
No, I don't say they shouldn't succeed with this composition, because Ezreal and Corki are on paper just like a great combination. But if you combine that with a Rengar and the Rumble, it bears some risks. And despite them having the early lead, they couldn't transit it into the mid game and just take that lead even further. And Ezreal just wasn't the champion who could help that. Like with the champion, like with just an AP assassin or just a burst mage, it would have been better.
Yeah, definitely. If they had another champion coming in, like Ari or anything like that, which would have basically allowed them to make use of the innate damage that they had in the comp, or like in Rengar, Rumble, and Corki, which all have high damage output already, and then someone to finish them off, and that's something that Ezreal can provide. So if they had that coming in, they would have won the game, I think.
Yeah, they would have won the game, but actually 10 minutes in, we thought they were going to win the game. And we're actually going to take a look at a replay of the decisive moment in the early game where Fnatic decides to dive SK.
So yeah, that dive is just very well executed. If you look at Yellowstone, that situation, the tower aggro is just perfectly played out. And then despite wasting, or like despite flashing, they get the kill. And then it just gets a bit messy, because we got Enerrated coming in, we got Svenskeren coming in, and we also got LeBlanc, Fox coming in and trying to clean it up. But what Fnatic did really well in this situation is just gather up their forces and not allow them to pick up single targets. And even in the situation where Fox does it, Fnatic is able to get the counter kill on that. And then it just gets dragged out over and over again, and that scene just like tries to never end. And the decisive moment that won that for Fnatic was when N-Rated flashed and tried to kill Huni, which we see in a second. So right now, Huni should be dead. He gets an auto attack, and then N-Rated flashes for it, and as you can see, in the last moment, the Alistar heal saves him. And N-Rated goes down, which makes it a 3-for-1 for Fnatic and gives them the early lead.
Beautiful. Now, the question is, yeah, swag recall there from Yellowstar did his job. Now, the question is, of course, what went array then for Fnatic afterwards? Because SK, at 7 minutes, almost immediately takes the first dragon, and they never let go of that dragon.
Basically, what Fnatic never did is like controlling the bottom side. They tried to dive Gnar a couple of times. They tried to basically control top side completely, which at some point you have to give up. The Drake, after like the second, third Drake, it keeps on snowballing, and the danger just becomes grander that the fifth Drake is coming in and basically ends the game for you. And that's something they didn't recognize, they didn't respect. And Forgiven got free farm 24/7 too, which basically makes him like the carry that he wants to be, like that is not involved in early fights, but that tries to carry through mid and late game team fights through his mechanics and game knowledge.
Yeah, they built up a pretty great double threat composition around that. Forgiven was just free farming for the whole game, ending up at like close to 400 in that very short match. And we got Fox with so many kills coming in, playing the LeBlanc as an assassin and damage control champion in teamfights, what we see in the second replay that we prepared.
Yeah, let's actually put that up on the screen, that we can take a look at how Fox plays that out.
Usually as LeBlanc, you want to pick up people, like you want to make picks and then take objective afterwards. What Fox is doing here is he uses his distortion so smart and gets on both carries. He gets on Corki and he gets on Ezreal and takes away 50% with a W. This is just amazing, and that won the fight for them. Afterwards, with 4 Drakes, you can't play it like this. Like, this game is absolutely over afterwards.
Yep. And they will go on and finish the game right after that. Forgiven, as we see, he wants his hands on some kills because he had a lot of farm, but he wasn't so incredibly fed in that one. The question for you guys, for me, SK, incredibly scary. And Forgiven said, we need some losses to see what we're doing wrong. They're getting behind in the early game. with that move, they actually got smashed in the early game, and they're still able to turn it around and almost sneak dragons under your nose. It's super scary.
It was mostly due to their vision control. They really worked on their vision control. If you see how the upgraded trinkets came in really early, they used it absolutely perfectly. They rotated as they could, and they put the farm on the right carries. So there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, I completely agree. The main focus points that we criticized about SK was like the warding control, actually like basically under warding and them like not recognizing the threats that the enemy team can provide. They kind of fell into the same rhythm again like early game, but they managed to like come back from that, and that's something we haven't seen from SK besides the one Elements game where they came back like from 1-11 down. But that's not usual for SK. They want to win laning phase, and they didn't even do that, and they still came back, which is impressive.
Yeah, thanks 5.4 for the updated trinkets, SK will say. With the top of the table decided for the day, we'll look at the middle of the standings next as the Unicorns of Love take on Rocket. But first, you don't have to attend the LCS in person to get your hands on some sweet swag. Head on over to the launch of the official League of Legends merch store, which features everything from art prints to collectibles to this Zig statue, which is on sale only for a limited time. It's all live right now, and you can check it all out at merch.riotgames.com. You actually have a few minutes to check it out right now, and we'll see you back here in just a few.
Nice fans, by the way.
Everyone is Huni's fan.
Whatever, I'm
90%.
only for Hunis.
We should rename the team to Huni instead of Fnatic.
Yes.
It's not over! Fox is knocked in the air! Hooney's trying to hunt him down, but Enrated is throwing out the auto attacks. He flashes forward and doesn't get the kill!
No, I mean...
We do see Yellowstar goes in, gets 2 on the knocker. Equalizer comes out that says do not pass, but it doesn't stop Freddy. Fox melts Fnatic's HP. Yellowstar's in full retreat. And Face of the Mountain shield plus Unbreakable Will is down. Where is the equalizer? Hooney throws out the Sigil of Malice, and Yellowstar's going to be the next one to fall. It's going to get the Face of the Mountain shield, survives for long enough, but Hooney's down. SK Gaming, the undisputed kings of Europe.